This is Simon from SD Project Italy. Thank you very much for the time you are dedicating us in this presentation of SPAC software. SD Project is a software house and SPAC Automation is the name of our electrical CAD with AutoCAD technology embedded. I'm going to be starting showing a PowerPoint slide with a few indications about our company and our software. Then we are going to show shortly the program operation so you can see how easy it is to draw and what can be obtained using SPAC. We are developing electrical CAD since over 30 years in the Italian marketplace, and we are specialized in industrial automation plants and special machines. We are a leader company in the Italian marketplace. We can count over 6,000 active customers using our software, and SPAC is installed in over 35,000 workstations. The software SPAC Automation is focused in industrial automation plants and special machines. So in this vertical specialized CAD, you will going to find commands that are optimized for the drawing of the schematic and also for the automatic documentation and creation of the reports associated to this electrical schematic. To show you some drawing features you can find in SPAC Automation, we can talk about fast and specialized commands to make easier the design of the scheme. So for example, when you insert a symbol in the drawing, the connection between power supply lines or other symbols or signal lines are done automatically. On the other hand, when you copy and paste an electrical symbol, it is the program that keeps track of the correct identification of this element. So you do not have to worry about the last sequence number you were using for a relay coil because it is the program that is going to be keeping track of it. Once you are done with the schematic, you can make the automatic wires numbering, and you can do it in different times during the design phase. So once you make the wires numbering, you can redo it after a modification or also at the end of the project creation. You can also create automatically a dynamic PDF to show customers or partners that do not have SPAC Automation the schematics you are working with. The advantage of this kind of PDF file is that you can make navigation between the cross-references, and you can see also information associated to the material in each element. Regarding the documentation of the project, which is one of the main advantages of using an electrical CAD, once you have made the drawing, you can associate a material code to each element to make automatically the bill of materials. You can also create automatically a drawing or a table with a representation of the terminal blocks that we're drawing in the electrical schematics. You can have online while drawing your schematic the cross-references, or you can get them at the end of the project execution. You can also have a three-dimensional representation of the electrical panel and make the creation of the push-button panel, both the front view and the rear view. We can say at this point that SPAC Automation helps the designer to save time while drawing the schematic, of course, but the main advantage is the time that is saved while making the project documentation. So instead of using a general purpose CAD for making your schematics, using a specialized and professional electrical CAD as SPAC Automation can save about 80% of the drawing and documentation time. So this is a huge advantage. Some specialized features that you can find in SPAC Automazione are related to the management of the PLCs. You can find the different kind of representations of these devices, both for making the synoptic, so you can see the mechanical characteristics of the PLC, and you can also make the drawing of the input and output bits. All of this is integrated inside the software, and all the information that you are managing while designing and working with PLCs and terminal blocks, etc., can be exported and imported in Excel format. This facilitates the data exchange between the different departments in the company. When a customer purchases SPAC Automazione, receives a database with over 500,000 components loaded. These are the most popular components in the marketplace. On the other hand, during the year, our technical department is engaged in loading new information and new materials to our database, because some materials can become obsolete, because some materials can be modified, or because maybe a new family or a new series is presented by a specific manufacturer. With a service of technical support called Global Assistance, the designer had access to our servers, so he can connect and download the materials that our technicians are loading during the course of the year. This is a huge advantage because also the customer can ask for the materials to be inserted in the database according to his needs. There is another interesting feature, which is the text translator, that allows the translation on the text that is included in the electrical schematic. If the customer has only the license, he will have a database in local on his computer with over 1,000 phrases in 7 languages. In this case, the translator module works by association. That means that if there is a phrase in the database, it's going to be translated automatically. This database is open, so the designer can modify it or share it with other persons on the company or translation companies to add more languages and to complete the data contained. If the customer has, on the other hand, the Global Assistance service enabled, he can connect with a translation service online, and in this case, he will be able to translate in over 40 languages. And of course, in this case, there is no limit on the texts or phrases that could be used for the translation. After making the text translation with this service, the designer could update the internal and local database, so all the information managed will be available for the next time he's going to be working with the program. Another interesting feature as an additional module of SPAC Automazione is the cables module. In this case, the designer gets to have a specialized representation of the cable itself, and you can have drawings and tables as illustrated in the slide. So you will see all the input pins in one extreme of the cable data itself, and all the output pins with the specified connection element or line on the other side of the drawing. This is useful when you need to have a detailed representation of the cable, or in case you need to connect 2 different elements in 2 different electrical panels without going through any terminal block. Another advantage of SPAC Automazione is the fact that it is entirely developed by us, so we have complete control about the software and its features. We have developed in the last years a lot of cooperation with different companies to have specific developments and serve specific areas of the business. Given the rise of PLM, EDM, or ERP systems, SPAC Automation can interface with programs as Vault from Autodesk, Profile, Windshield, and the other ones listed here. And you can make the check-in and the checkout of the job order. In case you have another PLM, we can make a personalization of the module so you can get the sharing of the information in your company. We can also interface with Plotter's technologies for creating and printing the labels that will identify cables and terminals. So if you are using one of the systems list like Script2Me, Phoenix Contact, Clip Project, etc., you can provide all the information for the labels creation to these plotters, so you can print them automatically after the project is done. On the other hand, we can provide also a neutral Excel file, so you can adapt it in case you are using a plotting system that is not one of the listed in the program. If you have also internally a cables cutting machine in your company, you can use SPAC to provide the information required for the processing of these cables in these specific cases. Comax, KMI, and Confili Machine are one of the manufacturers we have partnership with. Finally, given that the automation world and that the electrical system is always in evolution, we have specific partnerships with other companies for the specific drawing of electrical harnesses, both in a constructive and in a functional point of view. We have also a partnership with Remorit's company for being able to put our projects in Opera Cloud. So this facilitates a lot the sharing of information, also with the operators in the field. And we have other cooperations with big manufacturers of electrical materials as Siemens and Schneider, and with ESA Pro in this specific case for the interface with their piping and instrumentation diagrams. From the point of view of the technical support, we are the developers of SPAC Automation. So you will receive the technical support from the program developer and manufacturer. That means that you are not going to be contacting other companies that will need to refer to us. You will be talking with the technicians that develop, test, and that are in constant contact with the automation world. So you will have a top quality technical assistance when required. The value proposition that SD Project provides to end users could be summarized as cost reduction, which is an outstanding price-performance ratio in the marketplace if you compare at the same quantity of features and functionalities and the price of the final solution you are acquiring. Time savings, of course, because you will have specific functionalities and commands for the fast design of the scheme, but also for the immediate documentation of the project with a single click of your mouse. Of course, you will be having a tool that is developed on the worldwide standard for electrical and design in general, which is AutoCAD. So users that has AutoCAD can have very easy the use of SPAC Automation, given that you will need to know only where are the commands for making the drawings and the documentation of the project. Finally, you can also increase the base of your customers because first of the DWG format, which is a guarantee that your project could be visualized all over the world. But also because we are compliant with European and American electrical standards. That means that the symbol library that you have in SPAC Automation can be defined for IEC customers or for JIC and American customers. Finally, interfacing SPAC with third-party applications make easy the data sharing between the company departments and the partners. And you can always share Excel or ASCII files with other people just to show the data that is being managed by SPAC Automation. This is all from my side regarding the short and the fast presentation of SD Project company. Now I am going to show you the program working, so you can take a look at the software itself, the user-friendly interface, and the ease of use of the program. So this is the program interface. You will find that this is an AutoCAD-based software, and on the right side, the menus, you will have all the commands for the design of the project. In this specific case, we have a project with several pages that you can see structured on the left side of the screen. And if you go to a specific component and click on the right button of the mouse, you will see a pop-up menu with the different features that are contextualized or that are related to this specific component for edit it, to copy, etc. You have, for example, the cross-references between power lines and also between components, child and parent. As you can see, besides the component, for example, there are some power supply schematics. You can also have specific drawings. And in this case, we are showing you the cross-reference between the coil and the contact itself, parent and child association. We can select a specific part of the scheme and delete it. We can add the components from the switches menu, for example. You can select the type of component you want to insert, select it. From the left window that will show also a preview of the symbol itself, and then using drag and drop, place it in the desired location of the schematic. If you notice, you can see the connection lines that are already placed by the software, so it eases the design of the electrical schematic. Once the electrical symbol is inserted, you will be able to make also the association of the material to this specific electrical symbol. It can be done in any phase of the drawing process. In this case, we're going to copy the motor that is present in the same schematic. The program makes the automatic connection with the available symbol. Then we can go to SPAC menu and execute a command for the wires numbering, given that these specific lines were not present before. You will have an interface for the definition of the cable itself. And then you can draw a fence or a line. And in this intersection point, you will have the location of the wire number. In this case, we can also have the representation of the terminals, the specification of the cable itself. You can also work with connectors, inverters, and other special symbols. And you can also make the drawing of the auxiliaries. In this case, you have a PLC representation, both in tabular and graphical way, and the input and output boards with all the electrical connections associated. This is an example of the representation of a terminal block drawn with the program. As you can see, you can also manage multi-level terminals, and you can manage the jumpers that are going to be inserted according to the drawing you were working with. These are other representations of the terminal block. Some connectors. with the input and output pins associated. And then tables for summarizing the coding table or other information obtained from the drawings you execute. This is a loop diagram, which is very useful for the troubleshooting, given that it defines the connection between the element in the field and the main control panel. As we present on the slides, a sample of a cable with the connection pins input and output for the representations, and a mechanical view of an electrical harness. In this case, you have both information for the representation of the cable itself and the connection pins. We can also have pneumatic drawings because we have the library available in SPAC. Just to give you some examples of the schemes that can be done, and the management also of the cross-references. And this is the representation of the push button panel, the front view, and the rear view that is created automatically with a mirror image. You can also work with the mechanical representation of the electrical panel using the quotes for defining the dimensions. And you can have the creation of the electrical panel itself. So you can define the plate, the raceways, the DIN rail, and make the location of the components on the desired position. Given that SPAC is entirely developed in AutoCAD technology, you can have also the block associated to the component and make a 3D view of the panel so you can see the volume occupation. Finally, a sample of the bill of materials that can be created with SPAC Automation. It is just a short overview of the software so you can have an idea of the graphical quality of the schematics that you can do with SPAC Automation. One important thing to notice is the fact that all the outputs and all the reports that you create using SPAC Automation can be updated automatically after you make a modification on the schematic. This is a huge advantage given that it saves a lot of time and it avoids the possible errors that can be done by doing this kind of activity by hand. This would be all from my point of view for the presentation of SD Project and SPAC. Sure, thank you so much also for your time, and thanks for all the participants to this webinar. Of course, this was just a short overview or presentation of our solutions. If you may need further information, please keep in touch with us. We will be more than happy to give you assistance and organize, of course, if required, a further session to go deeper in the details that could be more interesting for you. Thanks to all and have a very nice day.